please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Hello and welcome. You're watching Business Lunch. I'm Nisha Podar and with me is Surbi Upadhyay. Surbi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Nisha.
So looking at the markets today, yes, we see some red on the screen at this point, but Nifty 50 has just about gone into the green, and that's a good perk up that we are seeing from the lows of the day. But it's the mid-cap index which is clearly outperforming the rest of the indices today and inching towards 0.3% gain in trade at the moment. It's also Nifty Bank, which was in the red just 10 minutes back and has now come in the green. So there's a huge amount of recovery just when lunchtime starts. That is really refueling the markets at this point. Also take a look at the advanced decline, and that is hugely in favor of the decline. So that could be a point of worry. But definitely in the last few minutes of trade, we have seen the entire market rebound quite a bit. So.
Absolutely. In fact, today is a flavor, definitely housing finance. I think with the numbers from Group Finance, they pretty much lit up the streets. So lots of the housing finance stocks continue to be close to the highs of the day. That's the action here at home. So yeah, Group itself is up 5%. Now that's the action here at home. Let's tell you what's been happening around the world as well. Asian markets have been roughly weak today. You can say that for the whole region. Tensions between the United States and Russia over Syria weighed on sentiment throughout the session today. In fact, some of the markets like the Hong Kong Hang Seng, you can see down 500 points. Mainland Chinese markets also fairly weak. So compared to that, we're definitely better off. Now, Europe, for the time being, is taking things in its stride. Lackluster action right now and very mixed cues coming in from the markets that are trading in continental Europe. Of course, Syria continues to be a watch point. On Saturday, US, UK and France launched more than 100 missiles targeting Syrian government sites in response to chemical attacks by the Syrian government. Now, consequently, Russian markets have been down as well as the US vows further sanctions on the Syria fallout.
Oh yes, global cues are what the entire market is really reacting to today. And oil prices, they are weak in trade today following the Western airstrikes in Syria over the weekend, while a rise in US drilling for the new production also really dragged on the prices. And Brent prices trade near the $72 per barrel mark, and oil markets also come under a tremendous amount of pressure from a rise in the US oil drilling activity, where 7 oil rigs drilling for new production were added last week to April 13th. So that supply is going to put pressure on the overall market as well. And let's also get some important opinion going. And Jonathan Barrett, the economist and CIO at IR's Alliance, says that Brent has the potential to trade at $80 per barrel. So even higher, and $80 per mark is also being talked about here.
Look, obviously a lot of volatility, there's no doubt about it. Very interesting that Asia has taken more of a negative slide to it. But I get a sense that when you look at two things occurring, obviously military action, we're seeing sanctions against Iran. So when you look at the region, it's once again that sort of, it has that potential to really take hold of concerns. And as a result of that, I think we can see the potential for the Brent to trade through to that US $80. It can't be ruled out at the moment. When you see what's happening outside Russia, when you see what's happening in Syria, you get a sense that there is potential for retaliations. That should see prices relatively well bid.
Okay, now we've spoken about equities, we've spoken about commodities. It's the currency markets that are on the move as well. The rupee is in focus as it hit 5-month lows today. You can see it's trending pretty much close to the day's lows even now, 65.45. So what are the factors at play? Lata is joining in with some analysis. Lata, what's bothering the rupee today?
Well, there is a bit of trader sentiment getting hurt, as well as actual buying of dollars by various parties. The sentiment is hurt first by Syria itself. The attack usually puts currencies which have high current account deficits into sell mode. So traders usually go long dollar and short the respective EM currency. That was always on the cards. The second reason is that the trade deficit numbers that came on Friday evening was not flattering at all. The trade deficit at $13.7 billion is kind of at the upper end of the comfort zone and very close to worry zone. Immediately, of course, the more important part is the demand for dollars coming in from oil companies because of the rise in crude prices, as well because of financial investors moving out. We have been seeing consistent sale of either debt or equity or both by foreign investors. So there is a bit of that as well, and especially as a reaction to the Syrian issue. And that explains largely the rupee weakness. But it won't be a very weak showing. As you can see, crude is rolling back, and as we were just discussing in the break, the dollar index also is kind of not moving up to even 90. At 18.5, 89.5, it is finding resistance. So overall, refusal of continual strengthening of the dollar is a reason why the rupee is not weakening much.
All right, Lata, thanks so much for putting all that into perspective. Take a look at the markets as well. They have turned into the green. Now, Sensex almost flattish and closer to green at this point. Take a look at HUL as well as Asian Paints. They have gained in the last few minutes of trade as well. So those on our radar, and market has seen a huge amount of, that's HUL for you, a sharp spike that is seen 0.3% up as we speak. And Asian Paints has also gained almost 1.76% up. So keep those stocks on your radar. With that, we'll slip into a short breather on Business Lunch. But up next, we focus on a lot of stocks that are reacting on back of their earnings. Remember, earnings in full swing, and we'll get you all that update when we return.
Business Lunch, several very, very important cases in various courts today. So let's straight away get to our colleague Ashmit, who's been tracking all the action for us. And these include the ongoing, tussle of sale of assets, RCom sale of assets, as well as Jaiswal, Nico, and of course, what's happening with the JP Group. Ashmit, you definitely have a very busy day. Let's get cracking.
Let's quickly take our viewers through all the three cases, first beginning with the JP case. Now, in this one case, there are three broad takeaways. The one being that as far as the resolution proceedings are concerned, the COC has managed to identify a single bidder. The details haven't been revealed, but nonetheless, they are finalized on the bidder, and that is something that they will now have to take a decision on with their respective boards. However, the Apex Court has given a caveat that any decision has to be taken on the resolution proceedings will have to be vetted by the Apex Court. Also, keep in mind that JP Associates has managed to continue making that prayer that its bid should be considered. The Apex Court so far hasn't passed any orders on that. That prayer continues to remain alive. This case will be taken up on May 11th. That's the first case on JP. The second case with respect to Jaiswal Nico is equally important, concerns the evolution, the evolving IBC. What's interesting here is that Jaiswal Nico was a company that was in fact in advanced stages of talks with its lenders for restructuring the loan when in December of last year, the RBI had referred it to NCLT. It moved the Bombay High Court and now today has moved the Apex Court, with the essential prayer being that the restructuring proceedings were in fact ignored by the RBI in making that referral, that the lenders themselves have been forced into making that referral to the NCLT, that the lenders in fact led by SBI are in favor of a restructuring, and that is something that the RBI ignored. So on account of that, the Apex Court has stayed the IBC proceedings, and all eyes now on the next hearing, as this will decide the course forward as far as referrals by the RBI are concerned. And finally, as far as the RCom or Geo deal is concerned, another stumbling block coming their way. The NCLAT, mind you, just last week had passed orders which had allowed for sale of its star assets. That order by the NCLAT has now been stayed by the Apex Court. All action now goes back to April 18th, and that's when the NCLAT will hear that case again and probably give more clarity on the RCom RGO deal going forward. Back to you.
All right, Ashmit. So very, very interesting and very hectic days for you. Thanks so much for getting us all the update from the Supreme Court. But remember, a large part of the IBC cases are being fought at NCLT and NCLAT. One of the important cases that we are watching out for, and all the eyes would be on Binani Cement case that will be heard at NCLT Kolkata today. And Ritu Singh joins us to tell us what to expect there. Ritu, tell us.
Well, Nisha, it's back to square one for Binani Cement after various talks held with the lenders for settlement, the case even ending up in the Supreme Court. Now it's back to square one. The settlement offer is again being debated at. Binani Industries is presenting its case for settlement for Binani Cement in the NCLT at Kolkata today. The lenders are also present. The hearing is in fact currently underway. But interestingly, what the Supreme Court also said is that it was too premature to file for termination of IBC when so many hearings were pending at the National Company Law Appellate Tribunal as well as the NCLT in Kolkata. Therefore, the case has now gone back. Remember, after today's hearing also, we're not really expecting any ruling, so to say. At most, what the NCLT or even the NCLAT later this week, when its hearing is on Thursday, could direct the lenders to consider if they wanted a settlement offer, but any call on the termination of IBC proceedings again has to be taken by the Supreme Court itself. So if there is a mutual consent between the lenders and Binani Industries, the case will end up back in the Supreme Court.
Okay, so this one isn't exactly over just yet. All right, Ritu, thank you very much for that. Let's move to some stock action now. Cipla is the biggest gainer on the Nifty. Now, there are no repeat observations issued by the US FDA to the company's Indore unit. How is that beneficial for Cipla? Let's ask Ekta Vatra.
Well, I'm picking up from my sources with regards to Cipla that their Indore unit has in fact been inspected by the US FDA. This particular inspection got completed on last week itself, and it had begun on the 2nd of April. So it was quite a long, extensive inspection which had taken place. Now, I do understand that it was basically completed with no adverse observations, no data integrity, and neither any sort of adverse observations, primarily from the management. So it'll be interesting to see what exactly the Form 483 would contain. But overall, we understand that it is something which could probably be resolvable at this point in time. It is a new facility. Filings are increasing from that particular facility. Separately, I just want to add that Cipla has gained around 7.4% stake or market share in a particular drug, Aloxi generic, which they had launched as an authorized generic in the US markets. It's a chemotherapy drug. So positive news coming in there for Cipla.
All right, thanks so much, Ekta. And Cipla is up over 4% in trade on back of that particular news. But remember, we are in the thick of earnings season, and a lot of stocks like DCB, Gru Finance, Bhansali Engineering, as well as Rane Brakes reacting to their earnings. And let's take it straight to Abhishek Kothari, who's getting us all the highlights from these earnings. Tell us, Abhishek.
Well, Nisha, the kickstart to BFSI earnings has been good. So you can look at the DCB bank results. Strong loan growth. Now, strong and healthy loan growth. Why healthy? Because risk-weighted asset to advances ratio have been declining for the bank. And with that, the asset quality is also improving. So loan growth at 29% has come back on the back of slippages also reducing by almost 22% on a sequential basis. That led to a 10 basis point decline in gross NPA. So gross NPA now stands at 1.79% versus 1.89%. A small niggling worry in DCB Bank's result is the NII growth. Now, the NII growth was at 20% versus loan growth at 29%. Gru Finance, strong set of numbers coming in from Gru Finance. You look at the disbursement growth both on sequential basis and YOY basis, it is up 20%. AUM growth of about 17.5%, and asset quality also improved as gross NPA declined to 0.45% versus 0.73% on a sequential basis. Bhansali Engineering, the revenues were up 57%, but EBITDA was up 96%. Other expenses doubled to about 33.5 crores. Forex loss on close to 7 crore on account of fluctuations in Q4 FY18. The debtors were written off about 8.5 crore. Rane Brakes, weak set of numbers. Revenue were up 12%, but EBITDA came down by 27%. Operating profit margin also contracted by 6.1%. So profit after tax was up 37% to about 6 crores. Other income almost doubled, and that aided in net profits. Back to you.
All right. Thanks, Abhishek, for getting us all those details. So apart from earnings, remember one particular counter. All right. Before that, let's take it straight to DCB's management, who spoke to us on their loan book position.
If you look at our loan book 3 years ago and now, we have almost doubled it. And what we are looking forward to in the next 3 to 3.5 years is to yet again double our loan book. And that's a trajectory we would like to kind of achieve. Step by step, we want to reduce our cost-income ratio. What we are aiming for is by fourth quarter of 2018-19, when we exit this particular year, we want to be at about 55% cost-income ratio.
We will have to see going forward how much demand will continue under the CLSS, because still, in our opinion, in the segment in which where we operate, we have not seen, the supply still, coming at the same pace at what it should be coming. We have not yet received subsidy of the disbursement made under CLSS from the month of, I think, January onwards, we have not received the subsidy. I think going forward, we will expect that NIM will be maintained in excess of 4%. This year, our NIM has been one of the all-time high at 4.4. But we will be able to sustain because interest rates have started going up, and there can be challenges on the cost of funds going forward. I think we would be able to maintain in the vicinity of anywhere between 20 to 25% disbursement growth.
All right, Group Finance is roaring in trade today, but what is not is Fortis Healthcare. Remember, on the back of all the deal developments which we have been closely watching out on. So the latest development that came in this morning is that IHH, the Malaysia-based giant in the hospital sector, which remember had given a non-binding offer to buy out Fortis Healthcare. That particular offer has been rejected by Fortis Healthcare. In fact, in a stock exchange notification, IHH has said that Fortis board has written to them saying that they will not be able to engage with them or even consider their offer because they are in exclusivity period with Manipal as well as TPG's binding bid, which was, remember, announced and later sweetened as well. So the stock is down primarily because there is one down out of the 3 offers which were on table to buy out Fortis Healthcare. The second one, remember, outside of TPG Manipal combo is also Munjal and Burman, which has put in an offer. And this is not an overall buyout offer, but just an interim amount through preferential issue of 1,250 odd crore rupees, Surbi. So the case, I mean, the deal still looks interesting. It's just that one down and 2 more left.
I'm just thinking the diversified owners of Fortis, and now it's the diversified sort of clutch of investors holding the stock, right? They would be having some interesting times evaluating all of these offers.
No decision maker as well because of that diversified shareholding as well.
Absolutely.
And a look at the markets at this time, pretty stable from where we started our lunch hour at. But Bank Nifty, that one was gaining, has lost some bit of gains. Some of those banking counters like Yes Bank, Axis Bank, ICICI Bank have lost some steam in the last few minutes of trade. But remember that HDFC Twins are the ones which are supporting the overall market. So keep an eye out on that one. An advanced decline. Pretty much advances have actually increased to 1,000 and versus the declines of 1,400 odd stocks at this point. All right, let's take it straight to some macro data coming in. And March WPI comes in at the lowest level since July 2017. And March WPI inflation is at 2.47% versus 2.48% on a month-on-month basis, with the monthly food inflation at minus 0.07% versus minus 0.07%, while the vegetable inflation stands at about minus 2.7%. So that's WPI inflation for you.
Okay, on to some political action now. The Congress party has released a list of 218 candidates out of the 224 for the upcoming state assembly elections, while Chief Minister Siddaramaiah will contest from his stronghold Chamundeshwari. His son will make a political debut from his father's sitting seat at Varuna. Rukmani Rao joins us with more details. So, Rukmani, how does the first list look like? Any surprises?
Well, after almost 5 days of deliberations and a lot of back and forth on several seats, the Congress has finally announced its list of 218 candidates who will be contesting in the assembly elections. Not too many surprises, though. Chief Minister Siddaramaiah will be contesting from just one seat, Chamundeshwari, which is known to be his strong hold, and also a lot of JDS defectors like Zamir Ahmad Khan, Chaluvara Swamy being given ticket from Congress. Not too many surprises, but we'll also be seeing a lot of second-generation politicians making their debut during this election. Of course, the prominent ones being the son of the Chief Minister, Yatindra, who will be contesting from Varuna, and also daughter of Home Minister Ramlinga Reddy, who will be contesting this time around.